Hello and welcome to Moneycontrol. I'm Ashwin Mohan, and today we have with us a very special guest. But before we move on to that special guest, here's some simple trivia for all of you guys out there who have tuned in and are watching this on the various Moneycontrol platforms. Cult comedy show Hum Punch, smash hit soap opera Kyunki Saas Bhi Kabhi Bahu Thi, gritty movie Udta Punjab. Different genres, different decades. So what's common between all three? Yes, you guessed right. The common factor, of course, is production house Balaji Telefilms. And joining us today is the creative force behind Balaji Telefilms, the queen of content in India, joint managing director of the firm, Ekta Kapoor. Ekta, thanks so much for taking out time and speaking to us at Moneycontrol.
Thanks for having me, Ashwin.
Right, Ekta, so clearly our readers, our viewers, several media, content and entertainment enthusiasts, and of course, the shareholders of Balaji Telefilms will be looking forward to your views on a whole host of subjects. But before I begin, Ekta, allow me to indulge in this very famous opening paragraph, from this classic novel, Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens. So here's what the opening paragraph says. It says, "It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. It was the age of wisdom, it was the age of foolishness. It was the epoch of belief, it was the epoch of incredulity." Now, of course, Ekta, Charles Dickens is referring to the state of affairs in the two cities in the book,
Yes.
which is, of course, London and Paris back then. I started off with this because I think it's a very interesting parallel and it perfectly summarizes the disruptive state of affairs in the industry today when it comes to the challenges, when it comes to the prolonged uncertainty period, the chaos of sorts. So for starters, Ekta, help us understand how was the lockdown period for Balaji Telefilms? Because there was a halt on production because of health and safety regulations. And clearly, Ekta, that would have had a consequent impact on your release schedules, your production schedules, and most importantly, your content pipeline, Ekta, for this year and next year. So fill us in on that. How was the lockdown experience?
So, I believe that we look at the three businesses that we had, Balaji, the Balaji Motion Pictures business, and the Balaji Telefilms that produces television content. All three had three various impacts. So, like you said, incredulous for some and opportunistic for some. So, while the content production went into a halt, Balaji Telefilms had to work. Actually, we produce 1,000 hours of content every year, and that adds to our top line. Plus, it gives us, it's a cost plus model. So it's de-risk, it's smart, our fixed cost is taken care of, and it's a cash rich part of the business. Then comes the B2C business, which we always seemingly put a lot of money into so that we have a growth and a valuation play for the future. Of course, we also know that content will change streams and mediums, and we should be a part of the we should not be kept far behind. We should be with the times. One which we thought would be like a money sucking, or should I say, for some time, financially tough business became extremely valuable. That's all, Balaji.
Right.
Movie business, I luckily didn't have too many films this year that were going to come out. And automatically the two small ones that were coming out, one is already sold to OTT, one is in the middle of the last stage of sale, and the TV business went into this sudden halt, which I don't think has happened in the history of my career, where we didn't even have one show running.
Right.
And that's when
that would have been unprecedented for you.
Absolutely. I think everything has been unprecedented for everyone. So I think I wasn't an exception.
Yeah, no one's been spared. That's right.
But what really happened was that we sort of had this cash. I won't say cash strapped, but there was a period of no production where there was the fixed cost, even though seemingly people took lower salaries, stayed the same, and there was no production. But the moment the SOPs were put in place and we started shoot, we're now back in business. So it has been a bit of a unprecedented hit, but the way Alt ate up, or should I say, consumed subscribers, and the films got sold, we sort of, I think, are in a sort of comsi situation.
All right. But Ekta, you're a tough cookie. You've proved that in the past, and you've seen various crests and troughs in the industry. Now let's talk about the digital boom, Ekta, because that's where one of your pet projects, which is of course ALTBalaji, seems to be a clear beneficiary. Your mom, Shobha Kapoor, recently during the results update, spoke about the fact that Balaji Telefilms is looking to exploit this digital opportunity, which has come in because of the pandemic. And if you look at the numbers of ALTBalaji, they say it all, because your direct subscription revenue, that's grown 100% year on year. Your revenue growth has also been good, 88%. So there's been a steep climb as far as ALTBalaji is concerned. Help us understand what's the secret sauce behind ALTBalaji, Ekta, and what's the core audience you're catering to? And I also want to add, does this core audience include overseas folks as well?
So there's a lot of yes and no in this whole question, so I'll go bit by bit.
Please take your time.
What happens is that we saw the need for individual content consumption come into play. And we knew that the Netflixes and the Amazons and the international players would have the money to make high budget, large size productions, which would take care of the urban need of individual consumption of content. But the masses out there, I mean, very few people realize that they also need individual consumption of content, which means that what I see with my family and what I see with my friends is not what I want to see alone. I have one TV in the house. I have 4 family members. I definitely give the remote to my mother or my wife, if I'm an Indian man, in tier 2, tier 3, and I want to watch action. My mother's sitting there, my daughter's sitting there, I cannot watch it. Same for me, I'm a 17-year-old girl now. I'm sitting and watching a soap opera with my mother. I cannot understand why my mother loves this. I hate and curse Ekta Kapoor every day for making the same shows and the same storylines. And why can't she just show plain romance? Why she should show people doing this very, very customary religious stuff and customary family stuff? I want to have girls who rebel. I want to see girls like me, in this format only, small town, small city. And then comes the young boy who says that, I need to have entertainment, comedy, edgy, slightly sexual, slightly fun, what I can talk to my friends and share to watch. All these various tastes TV does not take care of. Because
that's right.
TV is like, I call it the Diwali of content. When Diwali comes, we wear Indian clothes, we sit with our family, we talk differently. We're very different when we are with our friends. So family, tradition, value systems, television propagates, lives it up. I get judged for what I watch. So what I watch with my family, I want them to watch the same thing, instill values. When I'm alone, I want to live out my darker side. It could be even as simple as seeing the brutality in our country at times. It can be seeing some edginess. It can be seeing plain like escapism in action, anything. I don't want to watch it with others. That taste I try to cater to with ALTBalaji.
So it's the age of the individual viewer.
Absolutely. With so many OTT platforms coming in and with the pandemic actually accelerating the consumption on apps now, there are going to be apps that are going to cater. Like I don't want to cater to or cannibalize the Netflix audience. I don't have 600 rupees a month as a cost. So honestly, without sounding immodest, don't care if South Bombay watches my show or not.
You're very clear of who you're targeting.
Yeah, I'm very happy if from Vashi to Bihar, everyone has ALTBalaji on their phone. I have a strong Balaji recall, and I'm now capitalizing it by making it a B2C.
All right, great. What's also interesting, Ekta, is that, I'm a social media enthusiast, and many of these OTT shows have become conversation starters, for all of us. So it's almost like it's become a daily part of our lives. And before we have realized it, many of the conversation starters are about, have you seen season 1 of this one? Have you seen season 2 of that show? So it's sort of taken over our lives. So you're right. There's definitely been a sea change. I'm going to ask you a question, and the next one is a little tricky one, Ekta. So feel free to aggressively counter it. There's a school of thought, Ekta, which seems to believe that primarily or maybe majorly, it's the adult bold content probably on Alt Balaji that seems to have grabbed more eyeballs. Do you think that's a fair assessment, or do you think that's exaggeration? Because
So
there's also bold content on other platforms too. What's your take?
So I look at it this way that, yesterday someone shared this meme with me. It was very funny. It was about tum karo to ras leela, hum kare to character deela. It was Dark Desire on Netflix and Bekabu on Alt Balaji. I really look at it this way that everyone is making different kinds of content, and of course, slightly edgy content because we're so catches our eyeballs far more. But there is also Mission on Mars on Alt Balaji. There is Bose on Alt Balaji, which is one of the most critically acclaimed shows in India. But of course, and I've realized the more I'm going into tier 2, tier 3, yes, the masala content is working far better on my app. What can I do? I mean, you're not going to watch Bose on Alt Balaji. You will choose a Netflix. But there's a mass audience out there who may not want to watch. So, I mean, Apharan did so well. There was no sex in it. But of course, it's great fun to talk about an Indian app and then nicely diss it by saying, oh, it's all sexual content.
So, you know what? I'm tempted to ask you, does this constitute what you would call perhaps subtle elitism or maybe brazen elitism?
Not subtle. It's not subtle at all. And I'm actually, I have elite snobbery. I feel elite India does not understand mass India and the need of escapism that is so strong there. They find films which like Baghi and Tanaji. Oh my God, it's so loud. Hello, our country resonates with anything that gives them a sense of patriotism or escapism. When you have a Rohit Shetty film, you live out your dreams. Why can't we understand art is different for different people?
No, absolutely. I think every subscriber, irrespective of whether they are living in South Bombay or a smaller town or even a village, everybody is entitled to their own share of elitism, to their own share of escapism. I beg your pardon, and that's what you're providing.
I mean, I might find relatability as art. I might find escapism as art, and that's my choice. And I have no one to judge any viewer, be it mass, be it class. So I create content for the classes too, and I never judge them for what they like.
Right, point taken. I'm going to talk about something very unique about Alt Balaji, Ekta, and that's the deep library you have. You have about 62 original shows, Ekta, and that's perhaps one of the largest original libraries in India. And there are certain inherent advantages also with Alt Balaji because there's cheaper marketing costs, cheaper customer acquisition costs because you have a very deep library. And let's not forget, it's also backed by an established parent like Balaji Telefilms, which is already present in the movies business and the TV business. So that backing is there. So one thing is clear, Alt Balaji is very well positioned and it's riding the digital wave. But, and I know you have said this in the past that it's not been made to combat or tackle the likes of Netflix. But Ekta, you also have to acknowledge the fact that Netflix, and that's just an example of any global streaming giant, they are also slowly looking at pushing into Hindi content, regional content. They're coming up with new titles. They're pumping in thousands of crores for fresh Indian content because, just like you, everybody wants a share of the Indian pie, right? Because it's a burgeoning market. Eventually, this is my hypothesis, it is likely that the paths might cross because of both of you perhaps looking at the same market. How do you plan to tackle the likes of these global streaming giants when they start walking in what is now your backyard firmly?
So I look at it this way that, we did television many years, made the best content win. I personally think it's going to be a time where the consumer will have the last laugh. Netflix to actually cater to tier 2, tier 3 will not only have to create content which is regional, will have to be price sensitive also. And that's going to be their biggest challenge, more than the content creation. We of course will be becoming far more price sensitive as and when we go forward. So we would try to create. Secondly, our aim so specifically is tier 2, tier 3 that like for now we have actually commissioned 57 shows in the next 18 months.
Wow.
That is between us and our partner Z5. We're going to have, and the R&D is done. I know exactly what works on our apps, and these are the communities we want to grow. So of course there's going to be an overlap, but to cannibalize a market or have a monopolistic attitude, it cannot be possible, because everyone will have one show that you want to watch. Even if I have one show for the classes tomorrow, I'm such a cheap app, nobody will mind keeping me on their phone, But for somebody to have cost that much, you'll have to have a variety of shows. So my game is mid impact, small impact. My game is cheap and chic. My game is individualistic, and my game is tier 2, tier 3. And there will be an overlap, and I think at one point I will go regional too. But at this point of time, I have to keep the top line and bottom line well managed.
No, that's right. We hear you loud and clear. Now, Ekta, you're speaking about how you've examined and sort of explored the psyche of the Indian audience over the years, right? And when I started this interview, I spoke about the 3 different decades that you've been part of. You've been in this industry for almost 25 years right now.
It's a fossil.
Not yet there, not yet there. So Ekta, there's one school of thought that seems to believe that obviously there is a digital boom because more people are staying at home. There's work from home happening. You and I are classic examples. But once there is a cure to the vaccine, once people start going back to the offices, once the theaters get filled up, right now they are shut. There's no live sports right now, but what if once the stadiums get filled up? Then do you think, this boom might peter down? And therefore I want to ask you, do you think this is a temporary surge, which is not sustainable?
I actually feel that you can never, innocence once lost cannot be captured again. My answer, but to explain to you in a simple way, once you have a fracture and you have that leg which has been hurt, you recover, and then you either will dance more because you now got a fully functional leg, or you'll be very, very careful of that leg. So there you cannot go back to normal. You will either celebrate the fact that you have now the chance to go out, or you will deliberate over it, which will create 2 types of people. There will be nothing like the old normal for at least a couple of years, which means that I cannot now suddenly change and go back. Will the television stream of revenue continue? Yes, because there is a immobile older family viewer that is very happy sitting at home and watching television and has a certain mindset.
Your mother, my mother.
My mother, your mother,
Yeah.
ladies in smaller towns who feel that this is the kind of content I want to watch, and that's not, I know, with no judgment, that's fantastic. So television continues. But for everyone else who has got a radical thought process and doesn't want to, then has a different taste also, not forget radical thought process, a different taste, there is always going to be digital. You're going to be catching sport when the sport boom comes in. But this is not appointment viewing, so you can watch your 3 hours of cricket while your wife at any point of time would watch something that she wants, or maybe it's just a romance, and you can go back to watching an action show when you're free. So there is nothing like we're going to cannibalize. The markets are going to increase. Consumption has started on the mobile.
So you think these viewing habits, these kind of subscription and engagement levels are sustainable?
I think so. I mean, I still remember when Kyunki came in 2000, I remember the same questions being asked to me. How the hell will people pay 250 rupees for cable and satellite when they get Doordarshan for free? And I was like, people will pay. For content, people will pay. And once the habit changed, at one point, a lot of cable and satellite started shutting it, and they were like, what's going to happen next in Tulsi that? So sometimes the content builds technology, sometimes technology builds content.
Right.
So it's and now with this pandemic, they both have sort of found resonance. The urban audience have found the urban shows to watch. The masses have found, oh, I can watch shows without my mom or my daughter judging me. A daughter has said, oh, I found class of 2020. It's exactly how my college is. I really don't have to watch a soap with my mom. You know.
So content viewing has become more democratic, and that's at least that's good for a mature market. Now,
Ekta, one size fits all now.
Right. So, Ekta, you referred to your content partner, that's ZEE5. When this was announced last year, it's a very interesting alliance, right? Because both of you are, so to say, domestic rivals, but clearly both of you saw synergies in each other.
Absolutely.
You both came together because you wanted to tap into your respective strengths. It's been, say, about 6 to 8 months. I think there have been about 5 shows that you have co-produced together. Correct me if I'm wrong. Around 5
Much,
shows.
I think about 10, 12.
All right, around 10 shows. My question to you is, has this content alliance with ZEE5 helped to improve monetization for you guys? And are you open to more such content alliances?
So look, we saw this like this. That's why I was saying that cannibalizing markets is very different and overlaps are very different. So like for example, we saw that both of us had different audiences. He has a strong female audience. We have a strong male audience. They get a bigger library. They can still do their individual shows. I can do my individual shows, and I still have a library. Yet with the same cost or money that I have as resources that I have available to me, I can create far more shows if we share costs, Plus, I can go and do my direct sub acquisition. They can do their direct sub acquisition. And there's a huge market out there. Somebody might want to take on a ZEE5. Somebody might want to take an ALTBalaji, and it makes no difference to any of us because as long as the content is watched, even on their platform, tomorrow that content people will come back for. It's a win-win for both.
All right. Interestingly, Puneet Goenka of the Z Group made an observation a few days back in an interview where he said that OTT platforms will not match the reach of television in the next 5 years. That's what he said. What's your take? Do you concur with that assessment?
So maybe the pandemic would have changed that a bit, but I feel that I would say maybe the penetration that TVs had. TV also took 20 years. That's not like 2020 was the big boom. 98 was when cable and satellite first came into play. 97, I think. But 2020, 2000s and 2020, the kind of growth we've seen of television, of course, to reach that kind of penetration will take us time, but it is not going to be 20 years anymore.
All right.
So it'll be around 5-6 years.
It'll be a shorter journey. Fine. I get your point. Ekta, quick thoughts from you about pricing. You more than anybody else, you're aware, you're in the production business, that India is a very cost conscious market, right? Everybody wants to know how much it costs before they invest. If you look at ALTBalaji, it's very competitively priced. You have the likes of ZEE5, you have the likes of Voot, different subscriptions, different flexibilities, different validity periods. You've got Netflix and Amazon Prime, probably a little more expensive. What I want to ask you is that, as a key stakeholder in this, in the content industry, do you believe that if required, is the Indian audience loyal and mature enough to withstand an increase in rates if it is required at a later stage in subscription rates?
I don't know. I actually think with more content coming into play, rates would have to get more competitive. I don't think you can really go into, you would have to play the volume game, because ours is the only country where we are very, very price sensitive.
True.
We sell 1 rupee sachets of products.
True.
And we have to respect and accept it.
True. So cool. That's I guess music to the ears of the consumers going ahead. Now, Ekta, I want to talk about a recent announcement that was made by Balaji Telefilms, and this was an official announcement that was made as part of your results update. It was declared and disclosed on the stock exchanges. And what Balaji Telefilms said was that the firm is on the lookout for strategic and financial opportunities, and in this regard, they have appointed advisors. Now, here's what I understand, and then it's over to you. I'm given to understand that Balaji Telefilms is open to attracting strategic or financial investors, maybe even global players, to add value to any of your 3 mediums, especially the OTT platform, which is now doing really well. If you get a partner and if you sell stake, either at the parent level or at the subsidiary level, what that means is you get more funds, perhaps there'll be better content, your advertising and marketing budgets will go up. So it's all going to be good for the firm. What are your thoughts and what are these plans all about?
So, when I had gone to Harvard in 2013, the biggest question used to be debt versus equity, And frankly, I feel I don't want to go the debt route, but at the same time, equity is too valuable and too undervalued at this present moment to just, So that's why anyone who sees value in growth of this business and can be a part of that journey to grow this business investment, of course, you will require more when you take on such big daddies like Netflix and Amazon who are going to go regional. And my main game is going to be regional after 3 years I would want to be in all languages. You will need a partner to see value in the business and not just the top line and bottom line. The performance is to show you that this is the way the company goes, but if the strategic investor or the financial investor comes in, if they don't see value and there is no synergy as far as what we're looking at. Of course, we want to be a buoyant company. We don't want to lose money. But the first main game in the next 5 years is going to be to eat up the market. You know, you're going to be wanting to grow your market. So, yeah, it's something we are looking at, and we have hired Damai to take this forward. It's going to be an interesting journey because there are going to be many what ifs coming into play when we look at taking an investment.
True, because Ekta, different investors might have different viewpoints. Some might be interested only in ALTBalaji. Some might want access to all three, TV as well as movies as well as digital. So clearly, it depends on the appetite of the investors.
So, for now, we're pretty much financially stable. We have a great partner. We're going ahead and making 57 shows, and maybe by next year we'll want to go regional. We want to go international. Make a couple of maybe have a base of 300 Indian shows. And for that we would need more investment. At that time, a partner would come into play. For now, we're just starting the journey. Like I said,
early stages.
Such an early stage that till there is no alliance, synergy, value addition to both parties, that we don't know. But we're definitely opening the doors.